Of course, today I still am able to speak Yiddish fluently, but not as well as I was at home. Because once you don't have an opportunity to speak for 55, 60 years, it's gone. No, not completely gone. When I came to the United States, I was looking for Yiddish newspapers. I saw the forwards, the Yiddish forwards, and I was so pleased. But I couldn't understand it very well because the Yiddish language already picked up many English words, which I didn't know yet. But anyway, the Sabbath, Friday evening, as I say, was very, and my father was very fond of the girls. In fact, we felt he was nicer to the girls than to the boys. But even at that time, an Orthodox Jew, he was very open-minded, and he treated the girls and ladies just as well as anybody else. So he wasn't a male chauvinist. Purim was the most enjoyable holiday to all of us because we also created plays, like a theater. We made fun of everything, of everybody, what happened during the year. In fact, my sister was very gifted in that to prepare a kind of a Purimspiel. That time also, the Christians were very friendly to us in general, because so was the government and the president. And as the government goes, so goes the nation. Even those who were hidden anti-Semites, they never showed it up. They know this wasn't the trend. Jews were accepted. Christians were even very interested what's going on at our place, the holidays. They even know, some of them spoke Yiddish fluently. Some of them even know the morning prayers with the children, the Moideani. And so we have to be very careful to speak Yiddish among them because many of them don't understood. So on Purim, we prepared all those plays, and everybody was involved, the whole Jewish community. That means there were two villages, which consisted about 16 or 17 families. They were together because we had our own little prayer house, a shul, you call it, from those two villages. So everything, there was a lot of fun. And also my Yiddish Hebrew teacher, he went to a farmer. He took his white horse and he dressed himself as Haman, and he was in front of the horse walking through the village. And Mr. Blazer Wolf Greenstein was a very, very educated man. Everybody loved him because he has a lot of fun. He was our Megillah reading, a Torah reader. I never heard any nicer reading of the Megillah than Mr. Blazer Wolf. And Mr. Blazer Wolf had a white beard, so they dressed him as Mordechai, who got all his clothing from Achashverosh, who gave him even his crown of his head. And so the teacher was the white horse as Haman. He was carrying him, he was walking with him through the village. So all the people came out, everybody was happy about the Jews are celebrating Purim. My mother would make very big Hamantaschen. Those Hamantaschen was 10 times as big as the one who are baking now you have here. And the gypsies who lived very close to our community, they have their own village. By the way, those gypsies were very fine people. They went to school with us. They worked hard. There was not the kind of gypsies who were wandering from one place to another place. So they came on Purim under our window, and playing all the Yiddish songs. They know the melodies of so many Yiddish songs. So my father gave him some money, cigarettes, and everybody got a hamantash, you know. Um, Simchas Torah was another holiday, a very joyful holiday. There were so many things happened. People went from one house to another house. Our area was vineyards, you know, so everybody had his own wine. So they went from one place to another place, and singing on the street, going through the villages. And the Christians also joined them, and they were singing together. But that was Czechoslovakia under Masaryk's presidency. And so it happened that we were just following the elders, you know, my fathers and the uncles and everything as children. So, and from there we went to Minyan. My father said Kaddish after a relative who was childless, and so he started the Kaddish, but he had a lot of wine already. He didn't need much to get drunk. But he still was on his feet very well, you know. He was davening, and when he started his Gadal, my older brother, 6 years older, I started to laugh. I looked at my father, I had fun. And he was very ashamed, you know, that my father fell asleep because he was under influence of alcohol, you know. So he came home, my mother said, Martin, what did you do with yourself? You know, hey, it's nothing. You should see Shmuel Hersh. He was drunk. He said it was. So that was the kind of funny little stories that we had. My father was very much involved in doing things for the neighbors, because everybody was a farmer and they needed help to help each other. So whenever it come out, one helped the other, one family to the other, with the children and everything. We went to the vineyards, you know, we were all together, we did everything together. The high holidays, of course, were the most serious holidays, but even though my mother used to take all kinds of goodies to carry with her to the shul, because we were at the shul the whole day, and we were not at the age still, we didn't fast, we just fasted until noontime. So at any intermission, she went out and gave us a little this, a sandwich, and this and this and this. So, but even in Yom Kippur, we had a good time as children. Of course, my father was forcing me all constantly to sit with him on the bench and to daven with him. You know, he said to me, now you shouldn't miss that prayer. You have to be there. So don't stay outside long and come back. With your permission, I would like to read you something which I wrote down about each member of my family which have perished in the Holocaust. And it's in a little memorial book who somebody asked me to write down, and so I'm going to read it to you. First of all, about my father, Mordechai Martin Hollender, born March the 15th, 1889 in Vyšný Remety, Czechoslovakia. He was the sixth child of a 12-sibling family. He married Miriam Farkas in 1912, and they raised a family of 6. He ran a variety store in a small community and also owned a family farm. Martin Hollender was educated and very knowledgeable in Judaic studies, leader of the Minyan services in Shul as Baltfila and Balkora. His voice and nusach was pleasant to listen to. He was well liked and respected for his humanitarian qualities, always ready to help others. When the Nazis took away his business and property, he said, "One thing they cannot take away from me is education and upbringing I gave to my children." As the situation got worse for the Jews in Eastern Europe, his mood started to change and he became very nervous and serious. There were no smiles on his face, and he looked as a person who is deep in mourning. He wouldn't let anybody in the house play the violin. His explanation was that it is not proper to play music while Jews are suffering and so many of them are being killed. When the Nazis brought him in a cattle wagon to Auschwitz, males and females were separated immediately. He was left with his son, Moshe, myself, Morris, only. As they walked together, approaching the selection ramp, he handed to his son the citizenship papers, gave him his last blessing, and said to him, "I hope you will survive because you are able to work hard." They hugged and kissed before they parted. It was May the 25th, 1944, when he was taken to the gas chambers. And my mother, Miriam Farkas, was born on October the 28th, 1888 in the city of Berehovo, Czechoslovakia. Her father, Wolfleib Farkas, was a Hebrew teacher, and she grew up in a rather modest home. At 14 years of age, they sent her off to America to join her older brother. She lived in the United States for 5 years, working in a cigar factory and a millinery shop, earning $5 a week and sending most of it home to help support the family. She returned home reluctantly because of her father's poor health. Family advised her not to return to America, but rather marry and stay close to them. Being an obedient daughter, she did. In 1912, she married Morris Hollender and had to adjust to the life of the small community of Vyshny Remety. The 5 years in America gave her a wider outlook of life. She enjoyed the Yiddish theater and a variety of cultural activities. Having a pleasant singing voice, she sang to her children beautiful English lullabies. Her qualities as a human being were gentleness, fairness, sacrificing her whole life to the children and family. On a beautiful spring day, before the Nazis took her away, she stood on the front porch, looked at the greenery, at the blossoming orchards, flowering garden, and said, "This world is so beautiful, but our enemies don't want to let us live." She succumbed at the same day as her husband Martin in Auschwitz. My older sister, we call her Matilda Hollender. The first Hollander child was born on June the 1st, 1915 in Vyshny Remety, Czechoslovakia. She was an excellent student, graduated with honors from Teachers University. She was a very dedicated teacher and loved her profession. In 1938, the Nazis occupied Czechoslovakia and she lost her job. They did not allow a Jew to teach in public schools. Eventually, a wealthy Jewish family hired her as a private teacher in the city of Komarno to their only daughter, stricken with palsy. They loved Marty very much and treated her as a family member. In June 1944, she was taken to Auschwitz and was selected for work in a coal mine. The beautiful, sensitive, and talented young girl was treated very harshly, and after a few months of hardship, she was brought back to Auschwitz